Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Patricia Kingston and I'm the Corporate Events Officer at Tourism NI, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you back today for the first in our Autumn Lunch and Learn webinar series. Hopefully some of you made it along to our summer sessions, and we're delighted to have so many of you returning now to hear what's in store for our autumn topics. Throughout the series, we will once again be updating you on the range of useful resources, toolkits and supports available for the NI tourism and hospitality industry. And this time we've got a bit of a focus on our marketing division. So today we're kicking off with our social and digital and visitor information teams as we delve a little bit into our consumer website, discovernorthernireland.com. I'm very lucky to be joined today by not one, but two of my colleagues. We have Sarah Hannity from our social and digital team and Damien Coyle from our visitor information team. So during today's session, Sarah and Damien will provide some behind the scenes insights into the discovernorthernireland.com website and exploring how you can maximise the potential of your own individual product listing on the site. You'll also be hearing some hints and tips of what great looks like and some of the pitfalls to avoid. Sarah and Damien will kindly be staying on at the end, as always, to pick up any questions you might have. So please be sure to pop those into your control panel at any time throughout the presentation, and I'll be picking up as many of those as possible at the end. So hope you've all remembered to grab a tasty snack to enjoy during the presentation. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Sarah Hannity, who's going to be kicking us off today.
Hi everyone, so as Patricia said, I'm Sarah Hannity and I'm the digital content editor of discovernorthernireland.com. In this part of the presentation, I'm just going to run through what the website is and why it's of use to you. So what is discovernorthernireland.com? It's the consumer-facing website for the Tourist Board of Northern Ireland. It contains a wealth of information for tourists and locals on Northern Ireland, including the practicalities on getting here, travelling around, key destinations, including our counties and our cities, and it provides inspiration and information on activities, attractions, events and accommodation. This is where the product listings come in. So we rely on having accurate and up-to-date product listings on discovernorthernireland.com in order to create content that is relevant and of interest to your audience. And we present these listings to the audience so that they can go on to make inquiries and hopefully then make bookings with you also. And it's just key to draw your attention there to the point that if we don't have a listing for your product, we can't promote you. In terms then of the audience for discovernorthernireland.com, so over 2.8 million users. This was based on last year, so 2022. And those users generate over 8 million page views. So that's a huge amount of content that our audience is consuming. We also share product listings with Ireland.com. This is the official website of Tourism Ireland, and they service an international audience in excess of 19 million visits. Listings are also uploaded and shared across our destination management system, which a lot of the councils here in Northern Ireland use as well. So that means that you're not going to have to duplicate your efforts in creating the same listing multiple times. And it also increases the reach of your listing. So by having a single listing on discovernorthernireland.com, you've got the potential to reach an audience of millions. So in terms of the promotional opportunities, the type of content that we have available to us on our website includes landing pages, blogs, articles, and itineraries. These are all cross-referenced across our site as well, so a user can jump between them. For instance, we might have some listings on our things to do landing page, and there might be a link on that page that would link through to a bank holiday blog. This could link through then to an article on fun family days out. And this is all related content that interests the same audience and starts to help them then to combine products and create itineraries for days out or short breaks. And if you're listed on those, obviously then you're reaching that audience. These pieces of content are also then shared across our social channels, which includes Twitter, or X as it's now known, Facebook and Instagram. And we have a combined audience of over 420,000 on those channels. We send email newsletters fortnightly at the moment, and we have a database of over 40,000 subscribers at the moment. We have PR channels across TV, radio and press across the Northern Ireland, UK and the Republic of Ireland. And really key then on the third point there, just to draw your attention to campaigns. So it varies according to budget, but generally Tourism NI run 2 marketing campaigns per year, one in spring and one in autumn. And these are promoted across all of our owned channels, which I've just talked through there now, but also across channels including TV, billboards, radio, press and press supplements. So you'll see examples taken there from our press supplement 2 campaigns ago. So on the left hand side, you've got the front cover, then you had a 2-page spread per destination. In this case, I've included the Walled City example, and then you also have a roundup of offers on that page titled Great Value Short Breaks. So these were all submitted by businesses for inclusion, and this went out through some large newspapers across the UK, or Northern Ireland, sorry, and the Republic of Ireland. And then on the right hand side, you've got an example of one of the billboard creatives that we ran with. In this example is Blessingbourne Estate, but there was a variety of different products used and promoted through these as well. So those are some of the key places where your product could be promoted, but it is also important to note that the content on these pages is not only useful for our visitors, but also for search engines. So we include across our site a load of keywords relating to short breaks, overnight stays and days out in Northern Ireland, and that means that the discovernorthernireland.com ranks really highly for these related searches. So for instance, for anybody who searches on Google for what's on Northern Ireland, discovernorthernireland.com averages first position, and for things to do Northern Ireland, Discover Northern Ireland averages second position. So if your product is going to be featured on one of these landing pages, you're going to be promoted to a much bigger audience than if you're relying solely on your own website or if you're not online at all. We see ourselves as a stepping stone between the product owners and an audience who are searching for ideas on things to do, places to eat or drink, and ideas on where to stay. And we are aiming to encourage that audience towards your product listings, with the ultimate aim then of them going on to make a booking. So last slide from me, just things that are good to know. Having a product listing on Discover Northern Ireland is free. There's no cost involved in that, and that means then that you're going to be promoted in both a domestic and potentially international market across all the channels that I ran through there. And then just the second point, online booking is available through Discover Northern Ireland through a partnership that we now have with TXGB, or the Tourism Exchange as it's known. And this is free to join and can be connected to a number of existing booking systems. The official line is that TXGB helps businesses to reach new customers, to drive sales and boost profitability, and it can be used to help businesses become bookable online for the first time or access new online routes to market. If this is of interest to you, there's an upcoming webinar with the Launch and Learn session series with Paul Coleman. It's titled Growing Your Business via Online Sales Channels, and this provides more details on our partnership with TXGB and how it could benefit your business. So either make sure to sign up to that or refer back if you're watching this on catch up. And now I'm just going to hand over to my colleague Damien Coyle, who's going to run through how to get listed on discovernorthernireland.com.
Hi folks, so as Sarah mentioned, my name is Damien Coyle and I'm the Product Database Admin Officer for discovernorthernireland.com, and a large chunk of my day is helping product owners such as yourselves with their product listings and helping everyone get the most out of them. I don't want to keep this too long. I'm conscious that there's quite a bit to get through here, so let's just get cracking, I think. So how to get listed on discovernorthernireland.com. Process for getting listed. So to get listed on Discover Northern Ireland or to update the marketing content on your existing listing, in a nutshell, there's 2 steps. It's registering your product on the Tourism NI Business Hub and populating your product listing through the product manager. And we're going to cover these in a bit more detail throughout the rest of the presentation. Some of you may have been familiar with our old owner's login platform for updating listings on our old website. We moved away from that 2 years ago, but if you haven't touched your listing in that time, don't worry. Everything from the old site has been carried across onto the new one, so we should still have a record of it, even if it has been unpublished. but just know that you won't be able to make updates or get listed without having registered the product. So it's extremely important that you do this to keep your listing up to date and published. But before we go any further, I just want to give you a quick overview of our contributor agreement. So the Tourism NI Contributor Agreement is a legal document that sets out terms and conditions for how the information on the site is used and governs distribution to third parties. It must be agreed to in order for a product or event listing to be published to Discover Northern Ireland. When your listing is published to Discover Northern Ireland, you're given your consent for it to be shared with third-party websites that we're partnered with, including 8 of the 11 local council tourism websites, and Ireland.com, which is the consumer site for Tourism Ireland. If you take a look through it, you'll see the essential terms and conditions, or essential terms and requirements, sorry, for each product type to be published on the site. So that's accommodation, activities, attractions, food and drink, events, etc. And it gives a brief idea of why certain events or products may be declined and not published on the site. For example, we don't advertise charity events unless there's a distinct destination sale off Northern Ireland. We don't advertise trade shows or community events like car boot sales, pub quizzes, or theatre listings, that sort of thing. These are usually best promoted by the relevant local council on their website. There's a basic guide on what information should and shouldn't be included on listings to help you get the most out of it. Things like image quality, relevant content, length of description, but we'll come to all this in a bit more detail later when we talk about what good looks like. And finally, it details copyright, editorial rights, data protection, complaints procedures, and removal of listings from the site. So by accepting the terms and conditions on it, you're confirming that you're the copyright holder, or that you have permission from the owner of the intellectual property to use any content that you send us, and that you're not infringing on any third-party rights. So moving on to product registration. First, you log into your Tourism NI account or sign up for one if you haven't already, and then await confirmation of onboarding approval. We've got several online resources to help with this process. Now, because we're tight for time here, I can't show you them all in detail, but I'm going to quickly skim over them. There will be links provided for you to check out in your own time. There's some YouTube tutorials, and there's also a webinar that I'd highly recommend from one of our summer lunch and learn sessions with Emma Meikle in our industry development team on navigatingtourismni.com. Now, once you log in, the next step will be to carry out a product registration, so we can link your account to your listing and give you access to it on the product manager in order to make updates. This is a one-off thing though, thankfully. Again, because of time restrictions, I can't show you a whole walkthrough in detail, but I can give a quick summary and provide a few visual aids and a link to a full step-by-step YouTube tutorial. The same process applies whether it's a new product or one that already exists on Discover Northern Ireland. You need to register, and you can't do your registration until you're signed up to tourismni.com, just to reinforce that again. So if you log into your Tourism NI account, click on product registration, click on create, and complete the registration form and submit. And this is where you'll have to tick the contributor agreement to continue. There's your YouTube tutorial link. And here's a few screenshots for visual aids. Now, once submitted, it comes to us for approval, and you'll receive confirmation of submission. Just make sure when you're filling out the form that you use the email address that you want the confirmation emails to be sent to, if it's different from the business email. The registration is generally approved within 3 working days, but sometimes can take longer if we need a bit more information. But once approved, you'll receive confirmation of approval and will be prompted to visit the product manager to update the listing or populate it if it's brand new. Segueing nicely into the product manager section. Now, to access this, if you click on manage product listings on your drop down menu, and this will redirect you to the Simple View extranet. Select the product that you wish to update. Click actions followed by edit product. Then make the appropriate updates and request approval when you're done. We'll take a sense check through it all and publish updates if suitable. And once again, there's a few screenshots for visual aid. Now, again, this process is the exact same whether the product is brand new or an existing one. The only difference is on an existing one, you're editing and updating the existing information as opposed to populating it from scratch. We will only publish the listing if it has a marketing description on it and suitable images, so please make sure that these parts have been completed. On that note, I just want to briefly show you some screenshots of how to upload images. Keeping time in mind here, I don't want to spend too long on this, but again, there will be supporting documents and videos available after to go through in your own time. First, go to the Media tab along the left-hand side and click on Actions in the top right corner, followed by Upload New Media. Read the copyright notice and click OK, then select the images you wish to upload by either clicking the notice as highlighted or by dragging and dropping the files into the upload box. Files must be under 9.8 megabyte in size and a minimum of 1920 by 1080 resolution. They must be landscape and not contain text or logos, and we will remove anything that doesn't comply. I'll touch on the reasons why for this later. If you're taking photos with your phone, I'm not sure of the difference between portrait and landscape. Just turn your phone sideways so it's longer than it is high, just like a letterbox. Add in the copyright owner and who to credit for the image if owned by someone else. And please add alt text. We need this for accessibility purposes. If you're not sure what that is, it's basically a description of the image for screen reading software for visually impaired users. Then finally, just repeat the process for up to 10 images, and you can change the order they appear in by just clicking and dragging them, with number 1 appearing as the main image on the listing. Moving on to events. If you're submitting an event, the whole process is the same up until a point. Just follow the product registration process. Select event on the product registration form. We class an event as something that has a start and end date, a one-off semi-regular event that we put on our What's On page. Once your event is submitted, reviewed and approved, you'll be sent a confirmation email. And this time there will be a link to our event form. And this is where you add the info that gets published onto Discover Northern Ireland. So here's just a little screenshot of our event form. So there's the contributor agreement again. Give it a read. I can't stress that enough. Complete all the relevant fields. Anything with an asterisk must be completed. It should all be pretty much self-explanatory, but we'll cover some style tips and guidelines in a minute and talk about what good looks like. Once the form is submitted, we'll take a final sense check over it before publishing it. And then once it's published to Discover Northern Ireland, it'll be available for the relevant local council to publish on their website, as well work off the same destination management system. It'll be accessible for updates through the product manager. And once you update it through the product manager, it'll update across all our partner sites. If the event is running again in the future, the same listing can be republished by adding new dates through the product manager. So you don't have to go through the same process again, you'll be glad to hear. And there's just a quick look at the 8 council sites that we work closely alongside on our destination management system. So I'm sure you're all thinking right now, what does a good listing look like? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you, along with a few examples of why imagery is so important. So here we can see the listing for Bikemoorn. Great high quality images with alt text added, and images really give a flavour of what the experience is about. It's a good detailed description that encompasses everything they have on offer, rather than a listing for each activity. We always say that one strong overall listing is much better than several watered down ones. Quality over quantity every time. They have online booking set up through our partnership with TXGB, which you can find out more about on an upcoming Lunch and Learn webinar. Martin is a great example of someone that really took our feedback on board in improving the quality and visibility of his listing and has really run with it and has done a great job. On the right, you'll see 2 examples of why images are so important. The one on top uses logo and text, which 9 times out of 10 will get cut off, as you can see on the sides, and just end up looking a bit ridiculous. Below is an example of something uploaded way below the minimum resolution of 1920 by 1080. To be honest, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at in that image, and if I were a visitor, that would instantly put me off, wanting to click on that to find out more information. Just remember as well, if you are uploading photos on your phone, have a think about and maybe check how they look on a larger screen. It might look okay on a small phone screen, but how does it look on a laptop or monitor? That's why the resolution is so important to get right. Then finally, you'll be glad to hear a brief summary of some do's and don'ts to keep in mind when creating your or updating your listing. So a few ones maybe to highlight that I haven't talked about already. Make sure the images are relevant to the product or accommodation or event. Like if your accommodation is close to a major tourist attraction, by all means mention it in your description, but you don't have to show an image of it. These images should be for your product. Keep the description relevant and put yourself in a visitor's shoes. Think about it from their perspective and what they would want to know about. Use spell check and get someone to proofread it. We do give it a sense check ourselves, but it makes our job easier if it's already done. We all make mistakes. There is stuff we'll miss, which is why it's good to have another set of eyes looking over it, before it comes to us. Say don't write too much either. About 350 words is perfect. If you're going beyond 500 words, it's maybe starting to get a bit long. Just picture yourself reading a listing. There's only so much you want to read on it before you probably start to lose interest. And on that note, I think it's probably a good place for me to end. I don't want to ramble on anymore in case you all start to lose interest in what I'm saying. So yeah, thank you, and I'll hand you back over to Patricia.